To delve into each of these areas to understand their significance and the impact on the real estate sector, let me invite our next panel. We have Tarun Malhotra, Business Head Northeast and Tata at Tata Realty and Infrastructure Limited. We have Samir Jasuja, Founder and CEO at PropEquity, and Ashish Kukreja, CEO Homesfy and MyMagnet.io. To chair the conversation, I'll invite Anisha Nayar Dhawan once again on the stage. Can we please have a round of applause for this esteemed panel?
Thank you, and thank you, gentlemen, for joining us. I'm going to ask Samir first because we have an old-time connection. And Samir, PropEquity has been in the business as a first-mover advantage and a pioneer. So in your experience, how has prop tech and data analytics impacted real estate in our country so far?
See, initially, till about 5 years ago, there was a lot of data capturing that was happening on the ground. AI had not come in, so even on the B2C side, we were very traditional, whether it was transactions, whether it was the classified websites. There's been a lot of advancement that has happened in every space in the prop tech area. A lot of new prop tech companies came about. They got a lot of funding. And this sector has really evolved over the last 5 years, and it's starting to mature out, whether it's in the transaction space or the classified space or the data analytics space. And of course, construction technology space, I think there's not much happened yet, but there is a lot of anticipation of a lot of things happening because of that. But artificial intelligence and machine learning is playing a big role in all these three segments. I don't think they can play much of a role on the construction side, but there is 3D printing and so forth that can help in the construction technology side, and maybe Tarun can answer that better on what's happening on the construction side. But yes, in the last 5 years, there has been a lot of growth on the prop tech side in all verticals.
Right. Let me come to you, Tarun. Could you give me an example of the use of a new technology in any process or any solution that you provide where you've seen a sea change because of use of that technology?
Hi, good evening, and thanks for having me here. So, there is a sea change, as Samir mentioned, in technology that I've seen over the last 10 years. And fortunate to be in a place and in a company and a group where we really, really promote the use of technology and are pioneers in that, in fact. A lot of technological innovations which happen in the industry are thanks to because we pilot them. And enough and more has been said about the discovery and the sales part of it, because that was the first touch point which started. And back in the day, I think in 2014 or 15, was the first time that we did an Amazon shopping fest, a purely Amazon launch of a project. So that was back in the day. But there are enough companies, and with housing, etc. in the past, we've done a lot of large campaigns. But going forward, the way it's matured over the last 7 to 8 years, as I've seen, we use technology in all aspects of the business. And most importantly, where people don't get to see so much and talk about it so much is in the entire building life cycle, from acquisition to design to actually building it, and in the entire customer life cycle. And post that, when both of them converge, because both of them have a long, a building takes 3 to 4 years to, in some cases, 5 years for a project to have a gestation period, and a parallel journey of the customer which comes in. And post that, they converge into a property management system where they enjoy the property through and through. So we use technology extensively in all of that. And while 3D printing, etc., are a thing of the future, I mean, they are being experimented with across the world. But where we use it extensively as on date, and I review it almost every week on that, is BIM, the Building Intelligent Systems. So a BIM is a 3D model, an actual live model of a building. So at a design stage, we use a BIM modeling, so which actually gives you the exact to the paisa cost of of every single component that will come in. And it's actually, I mean, and as you review it, each aspect of it, whether it's pouring of concrete, whether it's the flooring aspect, you can see the building getting developed in a 3D phase every single week. So
With the cost also reflecting.
absolutely, against the cost, against the cost, against the budgeted cost, every portion, where are we at in percentage in terms of cost, where are we in percentage in terms of actual work.
तो फिर कोई जोर का झटका नहीं लगता सडनली, पहले से ही पता होता है.
You can see it live, you can actually see it live. And then we obviously, all of these things are monitored on a daily basis with drone technology and with the live monitoring through cameras, etc. Parallelly, we take it to the customer as well. So we've implemented a software in the last couple of years where, like a bank, if you buy a property with us, like a bank, you will have your password, you can actually get into that account, you can see how much, when is the next demand due, what is the stage of the construction. So you operate that
They
account.
also get to see the 3D model.
It's a live CRM module completely on. So you don't have to call any call center and ask कि next demand कब आएगी, कहाँ पहुँचा है project. You can actually see the last pour, the last live shots of that. And you can see how much is your total cost. Suppose your cost is 1 crore. You've paid 15 lakhs. Next cost you estimated when, and where are we right now? So the entire journey from the building side, from the customer side, is being monitored through technology.
I'm sure you have happy customers thanks to this, right?
Yeah. Oh, the customers are very happy. In any case, they expect the best transparency from a group like Tata.
So
And we are happy to provide this.
This is great, a lot of transparency. Ashish, MyMagnet.io facilitates the broker community. Why should I go to MyMagnet if I'm looking for a property and not to a broker जो जान पहचान से आया है, family friends have used? Why should I go to a broker listed on your website?
Hi, thanks for having me. We always wanted to control a customer experience. You know, one thing which we always wanted to do is to make sure that from a beginning till the end, there is a great experience there. And the only way we could do it was to have brokers becoming part of the platform through us so that we can monitor the whole journey with us. So not only it helped us to co-broke with the brokers, at the same time, we also made sure that any time in the journey, if there is an issue, the platform helps us to identify it and sort of cover it up. And this is a journey to create a great service levels for the consumers. And we believe it will take many years for us to educate the community and do it. So that's how the platform was one easy technology to complete the control the complete experience for us. Yeah.
The experience will come, but first the trust has to come.
Absolutely.
First, वो trust कैसे आएगा? Why will I trust a broker on your website?
So, I think this is one of very underrated community, I would say that, and I'll stick my neck out and say that, there are many good brokers out there. It's not that that all of them are the ones who are not, following the basics of the market and stuff like that. And that's what we intend to do. And, I've been observing a lot of international markets and been traveling and understanding. And I could see that now this transformation is happening in India as well. You have a younger lot coming in who is very professional. And all they need is a good platform and exposure to service their customers well. So I would say, yes, there was an issue in this segment. But as we progress further and with the emergence of RERA, you will see a lot changing from this perspective as well.
Tarun, I want to circle back to you. You said the BIM platform helps you and satisfies the customer as far as transparency is also concerned. But, real estate is a huge investment for anyone. How do you bridge the gap between the need for touch, feel, human interaction versus something which is totally technologically feasible and you just see it and believe it? How do you balance both?
So it's a tool which is rolled out and is obviously available, and there are a lot of tech-savvy people who are using it and feel, the very fact that you don't have to doctor anything, you don't have to ask anyone, you don't have to kind of depend on anyone. So, you know, at the sales point level, I still see people, and that's when the earlier panel was discussing, I wanted to ask a question as to, you know, when do you think we can do transactions on the net? We've actually gone to the fact in COVID, during COVID time, I've digitally given possessions to people. On the video, given possessions, signed off, they have taken the video copy, videographed, and sent to them as proof. And they've been sitting in the US because there were no visas, there was no travel, there was no international travel. They didn't want to kind of leave it. So that kind of gives them that comfort. And so many possessions were given during that time on the digital platform. So while people, the trust factor comes in, as you just said, that people trust what they see. Secondly, we are using law to as much back it up as possible. Indian law still doesn't let you digitally sign, which is very strange. You can't sign a digital contract for real estate, but you can for a bank. So, you know, which we've been kind of representing to the government, that they should allow that. It will make lives easier for people. And at least the trust factor doesn't come into play in our case, because people trust what we say and we show them what we say. And of course, in case a customer is still dissatisfied when he actually comes back, we will do whatever it needs to make him satisfied.
That is, get in the physical person, take them to the site if they want.
Exactly. If there is a 5% thing left in his satisfaction, we will always go out of our way to make sure that is done.
Right. Samir, how is data analytics changing the way developers are thinking and doing business? You've been doing this for so long. What is the power of data that developers can leverage? Can you give us an example?
Before I answer this question, I just wanted to add to what Ashish said, as how is technology helping in the transaction side of the business. I think one thing that has happened is because of technology, and technology is not cheap. So the bigger brokers are being able to adopt a lot of technology, build CRMs and build very sophisticated systems. And this industry is, like other industries, is consolidating. And the bigger brokers are getting bigger, they're getting more market share, and they're getting the sub-brokers or the smaller brokers to work with them, pass on that technology, teach them that technology, so that they become more efficient in their whole cycle, whether it's dealing with the customers or whether it's recovering money from the developers. So all that change is happening thanks to technology, especially in the last 4 or 5 years, when a lot of prop tech companies have emerged and started to build these CRM systems and systems that aid big brokers, where they can invest and then get smaller brokers to tie up with them. On your question on adopting data and analytics by developers, we're seeing a very positive change. You know, we were in a cycle from 2010 to 2013 when everything sold on the floor plan, and we are seeing that again this time. And there was this big cyclical downturn for 6-7 years where nothing was selling, right? So what has changed is that today people are wanting to understand the demand-supply dynamics. People want to understand how much is selling in a micro market. Should they launch a project, how much sales velocity they can get, how long will it take them to complete the sales, to do their financial planning in a much better way, so that they don't get penalized by RERA also, because they have very stringent penalties if you don't complete a project on time or you divert the cash flows from the project. So adoption of data and analytics has seen a vast improvement by developers. But let me also tell you, since we're the largest in this space, there are 3,000 active developers in tier 1 cities, and only 100 or 150 are using that data and analytics. And this has been a gut-based business. So 80% of this business still is very gut-based, and that's very scary in today's environment.
I think, I just to add to his point, I think, you know, the international capital and the institutional capital is what drives the usage of data analytics, because they need to understand what is it that's going to prove. We've been using their services for years and years, but that's been
So then who will fund you will decide how you do your business also, right?
The top developers are very institutionalized and they think in a very scientific fashion and they don't take decisions. And these are multi-hundred crore decisions. One wrong decision can lead you to bankruptcy.
So better to you
Right?
rely
So
on
better
data
to
than gut.
rely on data. And
Also
that's why
because you're answerable to boards, you're answerable to investors. How did you take that decision? So it's
gotta
always
back
good
it
to
up.
have that everything.
And over the last 10 years, if you see, the bigger developers are getting bigger and bigger because their balance sheets are better. They're taking more intelligent decisions by using data and analytics, and they're being forced to use it by banks or their funders like private equity funds or NBFCs. So the whole ecosystem at the top level is very advanced and very scientific, but at the bottom level is still to see a big change, which is still yet to happen.
Right. Ashish, what is the role of ARVR in discoveries? Is it just a frill or does it actually deliver returns?
Interesting question, actually. So I think, typically a new technology comes, it goes through a curve. Everybody wants to do it, and there's so much talk about it. Goes and sort of makes a peak.
Let's do it because everyone is doing it.
Nowadays, everybody, is talking about AI, right? They have this saying that people tend to overestimate technology initially in a short term, and they underestimate in a long term. And most of the technologies go through that cycle, So if I have to make a graph for you, it sort of picks up, everybody talks about it, nothing happens, starts to come down. Then there's a lot of enlightenment, a lot of learning. And then, the business case starts to emerge. So if I have to tell you about VR, I think it's somewhere starting to sort of settle down. It's so much talk about it, and half of the startups in the space have closed down globally. You've not been hearing about metaverse for many weeks now, right? So I think, and now we're talking about this Apple's new handset coming in, and it's going to be very immersive and stuff like that. So why 50-50 divide world? Because short-term rentals, vacation homes, there the adoption is higher for VR and AR. But when it comes to buying home, you want to feel air. Forget about AR and VR. You want to when I was buying my first apartment, I used to just go and stand there for weeks to just see मेरा कोई यहाँ से view कैसा आएगा, वहाँ से कैसा
पर
आएगा.
कुछ था तब, कुछ नहीं था, आपके मन में था ये सब. What you
So-
were saying.
Sorry, say that?
When you went and you were
Yeah.
standing, you were just imagining, right? There was
Yeah,
nothing in front
I
of you.
was, I could see the apartment coming up, and I would यहाँ से view कैसा होगा. So the whole thing is that you just, when you're buying home, it's an experience. It's like you can't marry on VR and AR, right? You want to be next to your pipe.
Touch and feel is important. Samir, last question to you. The Andhra Pradesh government has come up with this Bhumi project where they're using blockchain to digitize land records and ownership details. What use cases can we see of blockchain in the real estate sector beyond this?
The Indian real estate transaction environment, like Tarun was also saying, that you have to physically sign, and there are a lot of frauds, and there are millions of transactions that happen every day across the country because everybody needs to live in a property, everybody needs to rent a property. So there are so many transactions that are happening. And because the land records were not digitized, they were susceptible to a lot of fraud. And because these are high-ticket items, banks suffer a lot if, for example, a single person has a property, but he takes loan from 2 banks, right? And does a fraud. So when you have blockchain and you have a ledger where everything is recorded and digitized, it's very difficult, and it's available to everybody to see. Then it is very difficult to do multiple frauds or to sell a property multiple times. And that's happened in many cities, and developers have sold the same property in their projects to multiple buyers. So that won't happen if land records are digitized, if transactions are digitized, put through blockchain. And then there is another concept called tokenization. And now, there is fractionalization that is happening in real estate. SEBI recently came out with small REITs as well, so that people with 10 lakh rupees can buy into a project without having that much capital. You can make that investment. So for all that to happen and for all that to succeed, if you don't have blockchain and you don't have tokenization, you will not be able to do it that transparently. It will create the system of transparency. There will be less frauds that will happen. Less people will get cheated. And as you had this talk before that, and I didn't say anything, but if you go to court over here, it takes not less than 10 years to get a settlement. forget getting judgment or not, but justice delayed is justice denied, right? And that's what happens in this country,
So
unfortunately.
it's better to do the blockchain,
So
and not
blockchain
get
is very
there.
important. Tokenization, for tokenization is very important, and especially for land records and all transactions, blockchain will create that transparency that the whole country needs.
All right, let's hope the uptick also increases beyond just the Andhra Pradesh government. More and more states take it up, and more developers and consumers also come on board, on this
Absolutely.
very democratized ledger that everybody can see. Thank you all for joining us and for expressing your views. Thank you.
Pleasure.
Thank you.